What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time, welcome extra. This is United vs. Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and this is the Man United News Roundup. We drop by with one of these throughout the week, maybe a couple throughout the week. Really, it just depends on the news. I don't like to spend all day doing 3 or 4 videos on the same rumors, so when there's news, I want your thoughts on it. Today, there is a little bit of news. I'm sure you're aware it is a bit of a slow news day, but it doesn't mean it's a no news day. See what I did there? But we're talking new signings. Yes, technically, we have a new signing. Got a couple of Gyokeres updates I want your guys' thoughts on. A couple of central midfield updates I want you guys' thoughts on. But I do want to get your thoughts on this Benni McCarthy interview. So stick around for that. I want to see what you guys think of what our former striker coach had to say in his most recent interview, because he apparently loves to give interviews now. He's a professional interviewer. So, and I have a scouting report for you guys too, because I'm so nice, because that's what I do. Be honest though. Who here went out after last night's stream and YouTubed Noah Sternberg? Show of hands. Let me know who you were. You know who you were. Just be honest. We're all family here. But that's why we do them. So we're going to dive into all that today and more. Please make sure you're liking the video. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new. Please go check out the memberships. Learn how you can get more involved in the channel, including suggestions for scouting reports. It's all in there. Please consider checking out the link for the charity in the video description as well, just if you have a second, just to go check it out. No pressure. And then, of course, there's a link pinned in the chat. But today and tomorrow, you get 20% off in the United vs. Everybody store right now. So you go get that link, take it to the UVE store. You see all sorts of fun shirts, hats, coffee mugs, whatever you want. One-of-a-kind designs, but it is 20% off today and tomorrow. Yesterday was 25% off, but it was July 4th. That was a one day only, but I did hook you up with 20% more. So if you're on the fence, go check out the store. And then, like I've said a couple times, from now until August, when that fundraising event in the charity link happens, anything you guys buy in the store, any of the memberships, any super chats, any of that will go towards that fundraiser as well. So it's a charity for local dog shelters and animal welfare stuff here in Michigan. My wife is a board member and a volunteer, so I thought I would try to help out the organization as much as I can. I've already helped out a lot. We had a bunch of foster dogs here for the last couple of years, so doing my part, woman. So let's get into the news today, because let me see what everyone's doing here. How's everyone doing in the chat? Lucky Singh, Marcus Rashford, want him Germany straight away. Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit too, because we just a couple updates today. Big up, Rob. Good to see you again. Hit those like and subscribe buttons. Yes, please do. Thank you for the support. Danny says, oh yeah, we do have a poll in here because we're going to be talking a little bit about our newest announced signing. So let me see what y'all are saying here. Danny says, it's the third time we've announced Leon now. Spinio sure know how to drag on a transfer. Well, we got it done, and then we had to wait until he was I think we had to wait till he was 18 just to actually do stuff. But we'll see. Danny, yeah, reminded me of Sternberg. Yeah, I've seen that. So if you guys watch the scouting report last night, we talked about a left winger from Genk. Now, Genk typically line up in a 4-2-3-1. They were maybe I would say maybe a handful of times in the last couple of years, or maybe they would switch it up a little bit. But typically, it's going to be a 4-2-3-1, and typically Sternberg's going to play on that left-hand side. But big up, Danny, always doing his research. Big up, Box. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Yeah, Danny, I've looked it up, man. I've never actually seen them kind of go ahead and do that. And like I've said, if it's a handful of times. If you look at, any of the websites, any of the matches, and then if you want to go look at the average player positions in these matches, it's pretty much in a 4-3-3-1 formation. SofaScore is really good for looking at average player positions in given matches. So go check it out. But he is a little beast. If you guys saw last night's scouting report, just all those greens, man. Does it help? So if you noticed last night too, after that scouting report, I kind of posted in the community tab on the channel. Does that help people maybe stay organized with and kind of keep track of when we're scouting some of these players? Because it's so hard for me to remember which videos I scouted some of these players on. It could be maybe better to organize them a little bit. Who knows? Box, I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, my friend. I'll just say this on this Calvert-Lewin nonsense. What do I always say, you guys? Look at the source of the information. And I'll say this. There's a reason, okay, that Alan Nixon doesn't put where he writes in his bio when he's posting it. Because as soon as people look up where does Alan Nixon go, they're gonna stop reading, all right? The guy writes for the Sun. It is what it is. I'm not saying he's automatically full of shit. I'm just saying let's just not believe everything that some writer from the Sun wants to drop on Twitter. But big up, man. Rob says I'm scouting Sternberg on EFC. You're funny. Bach says he's a reluctant writer. He's just, yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to diss anybody. I'm just saying, you guys, like, there's a reason the guy's not posting where he writes for. But in any case, we did get technically a new signing according to the club. Diego Leon is official. He is officially a Red now. Look at that guy holding up it's got to be kind of interesting, man. Coming to a teenager, coming from where he was coming from. Was he Paraguayan or Uruguay? I can't remember which one now. But like you saw, like where he lives and stuff, like he's very humble beginnings, right? Obviously his family were traveling. We saw photos of his mom and everyone kind of hugging on him and stuff at the airport, I believe it was. Like, I like that. And that was something Ferguson used to look at. Like when Phil Jones gave an interview several months ago, he said, Sir Alex called him, they met one-on-one, and Ferguson never even asked Phil Jones about football. He talked to him about his family life, his friendships, his school and everything, because Ferguson cared more about that kind of stuff. And I think that's a big deal. Obviously, it's going to be different with when you're young, but I like this kid a lot. Are you guys excited for that signing? We got Dorgu, we got Amas, we got the Diego Leon coming in on that left-hand side. Is that enough? I did put a little bit of a poll out in case you guys already had some thoughts on what you might like to see us for depth-wise. Start, bench, loan, Dorgu, Amas. Sounds like a lot of you are ready to loan out Harry Amas. I don't have a problem with that. He's young. He needs to hit that gym a little bit too. He needs to get some meat on him bones, because the boy's going to get bullied in the Premier League if he doesn't. Now we can say, like, it's not just about being short, because like Raphael is short and stuff. You have to be able to get a little bigger. You have to put on some muscle at least, because he was getting bullied, Harry Amas. If you guys follow along during any of these academy watch-alongs this past season, he was getting bullied at the academy level, like just out-muscled left and right, because he's a smaller kid. And I'm not trying to like make fun of him for being small. I'm just pointing out the facts. You're going to have to, if you're going to be small, you got to somehow at least get powerful in terms of just being like fast, being able to ride challenges and whatnot. It is very, very important. So, but it sounds like a lot of you are ready to loan Amas and put Leon on the bench. So, and Leon came out swinging. He said, a lot of people might think I might go on loan or whatever. He says, I'm here to push for a spot in the first team. I like that from this kid. But what do you guys happen to say here? Danny says, yeah, more watch Stern and Orokadere. We should try to get a double deal. Yeah, I like Sternberg a lot. He's really good. You guys saw those numbers last night. I mean, you can go look at the community tab, and you can see just the percentiles. It's just literally just green. It's just like Shrek's ass, just nothing but green as far as the eye can see on that thing. It's freaking awesome. I love it. Not Shrek's ass, the percentiles. This family show. Danny B says, disgusted box really would be the case when we signed David. Yeah, I'm not putting much stock in the Dominic Calvert-Lewin junk, but what are you going to do? Nubis says damage control announcement. We signed him like how many months already? Well, technically we did and we didn't. He wasn't allowed to technically join us until he turned 18, and then we had to wait for seasons to be done and whatnot. So, but I hear you. Rob says I got positive vibes about Leon. He looks strong. He looks like he's in his mid-20s already. Dude's a freaking monster. Just a unit of a teenager, dude. It's insane. That dude definitely is lifting some weights. Danny says, I was excited in January after the fourth announcement of one signing. It kills a little. Yeah, it does a little bit. But Box says, left wing back up for grabs, all young and raw. Yeah, it's true. I still worry a little bit that maybe we could do with someone a little more experienced. But again, I look at who we have. And while I would want to sell maybe Dalo or something, the fact remains that he's still here. So he can fill in on that left side too. He can kind of take the reins. I don't know what the plan is for Dalo, because if Mbuemo shows up, what's that going to mean for Ahmad? I mean, I have no idea. I think we forget about Dalo sometimes. But are you excited about Diego Leon? What do you guys think of this one? So Nubis says, can he cross though? We have 0 crossers on our team. To be fair, Dorgu does cross the ball, and he looked a little better towards the end of it. Part of that's going to be kind of getting used. Dorgu's problem was and Gary Neville said this in an interview as well. I think it was on the overlap. Gary Neville said his crossing improved when he stopped trying to pick out a player or a teammate, and he started just putting the ball into dangerous space, dangerous areas, when he focused less on that. And that's, I thought, was Dorgu's problem, was a lot of, and you see, like, that's what happens when you see a lot of his balls were going behind. He was trying a little too hard to put it on something instead of putting it into space. And I think a big key is you need to play that ball a little earlier. Unless you get to the byline and like within the box, then it's fine. But if you're putting the ball in from out wide, you got to put that in a little earlier, because then it's just going behind everybody. So Bucks, how much was he on? I want to say it was like a package that could total maybe like 6 or 7 million. I don't remember off the top of my head with add-ons. It wasn't that much though, personally. Danny says, if you don't mind later, Sean, can you put Rios and Ugarte heat map up together so you can see how they compensate? Heat map, or do you want like stats? Because heat maps are two different things. I can look at them differently, but so you want 2 heat maps side by side? I have to look that up. Remind me later on, because we're going to talk about Rios a little later on, Danny. But yeah, I won't be able to put them both up on the same screen right away. We can flip back and forth for a second, but all right. So let me take Leon here off the screen, but I'm excited for him. Hopefully, he gets some time in preseason. I would like to see, again, preseason is going to be crucial. We're going to see what a lot of these players are made of. We're finally going to get to see Dorgu get a preseason because he just joined in January. None of these players have had a preseason with Ruben Amorim, so we'll see. I'm sure Amorim was hoping for a few more players personally, but we'll see. In other news, it's another friendly, another injury, unfortunately. I don't know if you guys watching any of the Club World Cup, but dude, poor Musiala, man. I feel bad for that kid. I did see some clips of the incident in question. I don't know if you saw it. It did look very, very bad, unfortunately. And it's completely innocent situation, completely innocent tackle, challenge, whatever you want from Donnarumma. It's just one of those freak things that happens sometimes. It's just nothing you can do about it. Both players going in and somebody gets the worst end of it. It just happens. Let's hope that it's not as bad as it looked for Musiala, because it looked very bad. Let's wish him a speedy recovery, because that kid has got stardust sprinkled on him every time he touches the ball. I just like watching him play. He's so good. But I will say it again. This is why I hate friendlies. This is why I hate international breaks mid-season. This is why I hate these summer bullshit friendlies. You can dress it up all you want to. You can throw as much money at it as you want to. You can try to get DAZN, I guess that's what it's called, which is just makes me hate it even more, that it's DAZN and they want you to pronounce it DAZN. It's fucking stupid. You can dress it up all you want to. I don't care. It's still a bullshit friendly tournament, and it's annoying. Like, if I go literally take off my socks after I went for my run today and played a little bit of keepy-uppy before putting it in the laundry basket, that's literally more competitive than this fucking Club World Cup. I swear to God, it's freaking annoying, dude. Richard, been a while, man. Hope you're doing well. How are you, my friend? Good to see you again. Danny says, hopefully Bayern comes in for Rashford. Well, we'll see. It's one of those weird situations, right? When they've been linked, supposedly they're interested. They do have a couple players. I'm not sure. I mean, Mueller, I think Thomas Mueller he's done, right? He left Bayern finally. They've got Serge Gnabry, they've got Kingsley Coman, both of whom are a little older, both of whom are a little bit injury prone, and then obviously Michael Olise. So Bayern could definitely do with a left winger. I think Rashford suits them. He wants to play for Barcelona, but again, it's too bad about Musiala, man. That's just too bad for him. But we do wish him a speedy recovery. How much is Rios Nubis? We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but it's not as high as it was reported like a year ago when we were first linked. So the whole 85 million release clause is not really a thing anymore. But Box says, have you seen that young Madrid center forward Gonçalo Garcia? I haven't seen him. I know that he's turning heads right now. I think it'd be in Madrid's best interest to focus on their academy for a little bit. I think they got an absolute home run with their center back that they promoted this past season and signed to a new contract. Madrid don't have a lot of money. You can see by the way they've been picking up free signings in the last couple of years. They've got an aging squad. They've got an injury hit squad. And just like Mbappe wasn't a free. Yes, he was free agent, but he wasn't free. And so they are struggling, I think, financially. They really need to go back to like Zidane and just look at some lesser known players, promote from within and things. I mean, Madrid have brought players in that got into the first team for a half second, and you never hear of them again. Someone like Odriozola, for instance. And then they sat here and blew money left and right on guys like Luka Jovic and Eden Hazard. It just, Florentino Perez is the worst thing about Real Madrid, but they'll tell you he's the best thing because he wants to bring in the superstars. But I think if you look back at like when they won 3 Champions League in a row, Zidane wasn't out here trying to get 100 million pound players every summer. Zidane worked with what he had, and yeah, he had an excellent squad, but he kept it very simple. Play the best players in their best positions, and that's what you have to do, and that's what he did. So what you gonna do? Bach says Bayern should have kept Muller around. Top pro, good athlete, no brainer. Yeah, we'll see what happens with him. I mean, he could retire if he wanted to. I don't know, what is he, like 35 now? He could retire and be just fine. He could stick around, help them. Obviously, Bayern had a lot of behind-the-scenes shit going on these last couple of years. Maybe someone like Thomas Muller, who knows that club inside and out, sticking around could be a nice little presence to have in there in terms of some sort of a directorship role, kind of like what Ibrahimovic was doing at Milan and whatnot. That wouldn't go amiss. Danny says, the more I watch Marcus Leonardo, the more it pisses me off. Yeah, it's always, but I think the reason that you're seeing Marcus Leonardo where he is now is, I think, the exact reason why maybe it wasn't a good idea for him to come to United, if that makes sense. You have to have the right environment for some of these youngsters, and sometimes these players can make the wrong moves too quickly, or it's just the wrong move, period. And I don't know if United these last 3 or 4 years it would have been the best environment for someone like that to thrive. Because if we're sitting here wondering why Højlund can't do it, or why some of these other strikers were missing sitters and whatnot, or when they're not getting picked out or stuff, I mean, that's something that Leonardo would have had to deal with even if he would have started. But I get where you're coming from for sure. Richard says, what are we doing? VTech, one of the greatest young goalkeeping talents, and yet no mention. Are you talking about us, or are you talking about the club? Because we've done scouting reports on VTech in the past. We did scouting reports on him during his loan this season. I mean, it's been a while. We've talked many times in these last couple of weeks about how this club doesn't really seem to trust its young academy keepers. We've seen guys like Joel Pereira come and go, Dean Henderson come and go, Matty Kovar come and go. That one still really stings. And obviously VTech has been the latest one to kind of come. He probably won't be sticking around. I don't know why we're looking at John Victor when VTech is here. Just let him and Onana duke it out, and then may the best man win, I guess. And we've said that many times on this channel. Like, I like VTech a lot. He looked very good in our preseason match against Rosenborg last summer. Looks very good on loan with Linz this past season. It's anyone's guess, but it's just, we just don't seem to want to trust the young keepers. So it is unfortunate, man. So what we see, Danny says, I said 2 years ago, Leon will be better than Endrick and Rookie. Yeah, that was like, you remember that summer where it was like the summer of like the 16-year-old strikers? You just listed all 3 of them. Like, all 3 of these cats were just like, everybody was looking at them, who's going to go where, and I'm like, these players you don't need to go to Madrid. You don't need to go to Barcelona. Both of you need to go to like the Eredivisie or the Bundesliga or something. Get some minutes, get some goals, and then you can or go like Benfica. If they would have gone to like Benfica to replace like Gonçalo Ramos or something, they could have been the next 100 million pound striker. I think one of them did end up going to Benfica, if I remember correctly. I don't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, the club. Don't get me started on the club and keepers, Richard. I mean, it's academic at this point. This club just does not. I don't know why we bother with having keepers in the. We just let one of them go for free, Gratzik, along with a handful of other academy players. We just didn't renew their contracts. So, Box wants to know: are you against the United Academy / youth not employing amorim's form? We talked about that a little bit the other day, and most of you seem to. We put a poll up, if you remember. Most of you seem to favor, the individual player development over using the system. Personally, I don't think that. I think it doesn't really matter to me if the system is employed. Because I can see the merit of it, but at the same time, I'd rather focus on the players in that level, just playing football really and getting tested in that regard. So I don't really have an answer. Like I said, I can see both sides having a decent, argument for it. But how are you feeling about it, Box? Let me know. Danny says, Roke looks like the shell of the talent he was 2-3 years ago. And sometimes that can happen when you make the big move too soon. I do wonder how much of that plays into what we've seen from Højlund, because I wonder, part of me wants to play the what if game with Højlund. What if we had signed another striker, that same summer, someone older, so Højlund wasn't the only guy doing it? Where would we be now? Would he come in and have, these substitute? Would he have more numbers? Would he look more confident? I don't know. I really don't. You do your head in having playing that game. So, but it's interesting stuff. I'm going to close the poll now. So, let's move on to some news. So yesterday, obviously, we talked a little bit about some of these reports that 5 players apparently told United they want to leave after basically being told that they were free to leave for the last 6 months. But it is what it is. Again, I don't understand that at all. But Oliver Kay with The Athletic claims a few of these players that we talked about, a few of these 5, the fraud 5, we'll call them, a few of these players in question are apparently not happy with this report that came out yesterday. I think that was a lot of sources saying that yesterday, but now Oliver Kay is saying that some of them are actually disputing that they requested to leave. So who knows what's going on there? I mean, these players have basically already been told they could leave. So, but one of these players that we discussed yesterday who hasn't really been shy about his desire to leave is Marcus Rashford. Now, we know his dream is to go play for Barcelona. He was basically twerking for Barcelona in that interview he did earlier last week, or maybe it was the week before, with talking to those YouTubers. I don't remember who they are. Go look it up if you want to look it up. Barcelona's Nico Williams chase was cut short after Nico Williams signed a new, very long contract with Bilbao. I think it's like a 10-year contract. But they could end up maybe still granting Rashford's wish, according to Santi Ona or Santi JFM, who says this: Barcelona and Manchester United are expected to open talks in the coming days regarding Marcus Rashford. Rashford is highly motivated to join the Catalan club and is willing to make significant efforts to make the move happen. Yeah, I mean, you don't need to tell us that. We already knew that last part. But this isn't the first time we've seen these reports. Now, Barcelona were looking for a winger. We were told, Nico Williams. I can't remember off the top of my head if they actually officially signed Rooney Bargi or if that was just like a Fabrizio Romano kind of thing. And then they were looking at Nico Williams. Now, we've read a couple reports recently that their backup option to Williams is Luis Diaz. It doesn't sound like Liverpool really want to sell Luis Diaz, but both Bayern and Barcelona seem to be in the market for a left winger, so it could be interesting. I think it could be a situation where you very, very easily see maybe Rashford go to one and Luis Diaz go to the other one. If that's the case, I couldn't tell you, but we'll see what happens there. Maybe we'll pull that in a poll real quick. Let me put that up for you guys. We've probably talked about this a couple times, but we'll put it. Maybe we did it with Sancho, but I'll put it in the poll here for you guys. Give me a second. It does take a minute to type everything out because I'm old, and it's funny. I used to be a writer, but it takes me a while. It's because the two computers are at different angles, and so like when it's like muscle memory. You guys let me know what you think there. Let me get caught up on this chat real quick and see what we're talking about. Pop. I'm just getting past all the emojis and whatnot. Box says, I see all this pro-Barca talk and vibes from Rashford as naive. It's ostracized. I think he's not hiding the fact that he really wants to go to Barcelona, right? Like, that is his dream. Dana says, they sign? I remember seeing that they were about to. I remember we were linked to them a few years back. Then he got that like serious long-term injury, and so that kind of put him on the back burner of my mind. I wanted to see how he came back and did it. Now, the fee that I saw at the time, it was like $2 million or something. It's a pretty good fee for a teenager, but we'll see. He's got to replicate it. Nubis says, no, loan for Rashford. Barca won't pick up that option after his loan spell is over. I'd rather swap if Barca is really broke. Problem is, Rashford, we can't really afford to swap with Rashford and Garnacho because they're all profit. We can probably do it with Sancho because it doesn't really matter at this point. With Sancho, he's on the final year of his contract. It could be an easier swap, but Rashford is all profit. If we did a swap for that, it would be one of the stupidest things. Now, we could go we talked about this a couple times, the Forest Newcastle route and swap, but also not swap. If you remember, we talked a little bit about that Elliot Anderson move and the Vlachodimos move. Both were purchased for probably double, in Vlachodimos' case, probably quadruple what he was really worth. But that was the way that Forest and Newcastle basically circumvented PSR regulations by doing that. So it is what it is. I don't know why we don't do more stuff like that. Is it shady? Yes. Does everybody do it? Yeah. So I don't know why we're not at least doing it. But let me know what you guys think Rashford might be doing in the chat, in the poll here. What are you guys saying so far? So far, it's okay. Bayern's winning. Nobody says United, so you always got to throw one little thing in there. But Box says Barca signed Rooney, probably registered to play. I mean, yeah, right. And that's the thing. I don't know why Rashford would be like, yeah, let's go to Barca, bro. You'll never play. Like, and people are like thinking that this is a recent thing, but you remember Barcelona signed Arda Turan like 10 years ago and like could not play him because they could not play him. Yeah, and a lot of people are like, Arda Turan, who the fuck is that? Yeah, a guy that they signed who could not play because they could not register him in time. So I don't know why anyone would want to go to Barcelona if they actually want to play football, because eventually the debt comes due and Barcelona are going to get done, though, man. Danny's hoping Bayern take Rashford. Yeah, I think Bayern would be a good fit. Company is well familiar with him. I mean, he's played against Vincent Kompany. Elise is basically the right-sided Rashford, except, 3 times better for sure. But the Lucky Singh says, want in Germany after tonight. Yeah, he might end up going. I mean, it threw a big spanner in the works. Hopefully, Musiala's injury is not too severe, because that looked really, really bad. And, I feel bad, too, for Donnarumma, because it was complete, accident. Everybody well within their rights to go for that ball. This thing just happens sometimes, and we just hopefully to me, it looked a little bit like an ankle ligament situation. I hope it's not a break. I hope it looks just like a really bad, ligament strain. If so, that's what happened to me, a little over a year ago, ankle ligament in my foot, tore that. It was 3 months of nothing at all. I couldn't even walk for a month almost. That's why I didn't stream anything for a month, because I could not get up and down my stairs. But my house it's a quad. If you guys don't know what a quad is, basically just imagine the final scene of the movie Labyrinth with all the stairs everywhere. That's what my freaking house looks like. This just with less David Bowie. Although that would have been cool. But what are you gonna do? But Lucky Singh says, I wanted part of my English side for FIFA World Cup 20. Well, that's up to Rashford, isn't it? He could have gone to Aston Villa. He could have been training and playing with Aston Villa in Europe. Could have been starting week in, week out, and he'd probably have a guaranteed spot. But Rashford, I guarantee you, if Rashford goes to Barcelona, he's probably not going to play, and he's probably not going to go to the World Cup. Rashford is shooting himself in the foot here doing this, man. It's unfortunate. Richard Hawkins says, Willie Morgan is available. Blast played for us in 78 when he was 26, but then we'll put in more effort than Rashford. I mean, it's not difficult to do. Rashford, and we talked a little bit about that last night. Rashford, I'm very, very frustrated with. That one, it hurts more, too, as a United fan. He's from Manchester, academy lad, plays a position that we love, new contract, number 10 shirt, which a lot of very, very good United players have worn. Club gave him that new contract. The club backed him fully when it was him versus the government. They gave £300,000 to the charities that Rashford was working with. And then he turns around and does what he does. It's just an absolute freaking just ungrateful move. Spoiled, rotten move, man. Completely selfish. And I'm not saying don't look out for yourself, but after that, it was like when Sancho just acted the way he did after everything that Ten Hag tried to do for him. It makes me feel old, and that's why maybe I'm a little more upset about it, because I'm like, you young kids, get off my lawn. Annoying, dude. Nuba says, Musiala is playing at 10, right? What if his injury is really bad? Bayern decided to come after Bruno for 60 million? No. We would never spend it. Look how long it's taken us to sign him, Wemo. You get 60 million for Bruno today, we might sign someone next summer with that money. Trust me. It's just not going to happen. But no, if Bruno's going to leave, he's going to go to the Saudi League, and he's going to go. If he might still go next summer. I remember we said that was maybe a possibility. He could still go next summer and be totally fine to play in the Saudi League, and we could still get that same amount of money. Because I guarantee you, if Al Hilal are going to offer that this summer, they'll come back and offer it next summer. It won't. The problem is, I don't know how many foreign players Al Hilal have in their squad, because that Saudi League does have a bit of a rule with that. Now, they increased the number of foreign players that were allowed in their squads, I think, last summer, but they still have a limit on how much they can do. So, John O'Connell, big up. Welcome to the channel. Who would you take over, Gyokeres or Osimhen? Moise Kean, no way. Calvert-Lewin, no way. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Moise Kean. I don't buy the Calvert-Lewin links for a second. You guys know Gyokeres is definitely my pick. He's been my pick since he was at Coventry. If you guys have been following along, we've done a couple videos now going back and looking back at my old scouting reports from like more than 2 years ago. And I scouted Gyokeres when he was at Coventry. And so, yeah, I've been waving the Gyokeres flag for a couple of years now. And it is what it is. It's just one of those things. I mean, there's other strikers who, like, I'll talk about another one of them today briefly as well, who I'm like, we need to look at these players now before they blow up. They go to Benfica, they go to Sporting, they go someplace else, and they cost 5 times more than what we could get them for. Like what happened with Caicedo, Julian Alvarez. These were players that we were scouting under Ralph Rangnick, and we was told no. Ollie famously wanted Caicedo, and he was told no, he's too young. It's just, this is the way the club's been run for the longest time, man. So Lucky Singh, he's funny. Box says Bruno for $6 million, then we rebuy Elanga. Yeah, under Woodward, yeah, we would. We definitely would, man. So that's what Santillone. I mean, in any case, again, it's just being dropped for the Derby, giving that Henry Winter interview, the Villa loan, the recent news with all this stuff, these players want to leave. And then it looks like Rashford's removed just Manchester United from his social media his bio. I think we can close the book on Marcus Rashford's Manchester United story. And it's a shame that it really is. It should not have gone this way, but this is entirely on Rashford at this point. And so we move, we go, but big up. What's this poll looking like? So 42% of you think Rashford's going to be playing at Bayern. 25% of you say Barcelona. And 33% of you say someplace else. If you think someplace else, let me know in the chat where you think that would be, because the possibilities are very, very slim. But Lucky Singh says Bayern Munich much more suited, United broken house. I mean, I think he suits the system that Bayern might play a little bit more, and I think he probably has a better chance of starting at Bayern, and that's his focus, is getting back for the World Cup in a year. That would be his best bet. Honestly, Aston Villa would have been his best bet, but what are you going to do? Box says Bayern need to offer $100 million. Yeah, they're not going to do that, though. They just lost Thomas Muller for free. They're probably going to lose a couple more players for free. If they wanted to swap for, I don't even care anymore. Give us Pavlovic. If you want Rashford, give us Pavlovic. Bayern, how's that sound? I'll take Pavlovic in a heartbeat. Chris Coopsy, welcome back, man. How you doing? Apparently, Conte opened the door for Osimhen to return to Napoli. Best 3 strikers in the world: Isak, Haaland, Osimhen. Dude, don't sleep on Gyokeres either, man. How dare you? Gyokeres is that dude for real. Richard says, now there was also talk about Wilfred and Ndidi, but at $5 million, I would take him not as a regular starter, as a bench player. Yeah, I don't remember when those Ndidi rumors popped up yesterday. I think it was just one of those situations, personally, Richard, where it was a player we were linked with in the past, and then when a release clause or a relegation clause pops up, then the press always like to throw our name in there, like, ooh, United target. Well, yeah, we were linked with him like a long time ago. Like, doesn't mean that we're still in for him. So it was like, who is the other player who has like, Kudus? Like, we were linked to Kudus a long time ago, but now this 85 million release clause to Premier League clubs that's active for a couple of days, and July pops up, and now it's all United target. Like, that's because we get you clicks, you guys. Like, it's ridiculous. This is how the press does this, because he might not have actually been a United target. Our name might have just been linked 8 months ago, but that gives them something they could pull back on 8 months from then to link us again and keep us, because they want to bash us, but they know that without us, they literally would all be broke because there's nothing to write about. So what you going to do? Box says Kimmich for Casemiro as well. I mean, basically the same player almost at this point, but I hear you. Rajat says, welcome back, Rajat. I hope you're doing well, my friend. On Gyokeres, though, as we're talking about Gyokeres, we got a little bit of an update here from Ebola on Victor Gyokeres. So, we discussed this random contract clause in Gyokeres' contract the other day. And if you guys want a refresher, this contract kicked in 1st of July in Gyokeres' contract that apparently if Sporting refuse any offer of at least £51.5 million for Gyokeres, they have to pay his agent 10% of that, which is just the stupidest clause I've ever heard of in a contract in my life. I don't understand who okayed that. Like, it does not make sense. But now Ebola report that maybe Sporting could be softening their stance a bit. This is what they had to say. According to Ebola, Sporting are willing to accept add-ons as part of their 80 million euro evaluation of Victor Gyokeres, potentially 70 million fixed plus a further 10 million for example. So basically back to the 60 million pounds plus add-ons. I mean, it took a little while, but we're right back to that the price that was laid out in that gentleman's agreement that the Sporting president vehemently denied. I mean, was it worth all this public drama back and forth? I mean, what were you think is going to happen as the president of Sporting when this contract clause was going to dip in? Do you think someone was going to come pay for him before July? I don't understand. All you were doing was making it so that nobody would pay for him until July when you kept driving up the price. I don't understand presidents at clubs, man. This guy makes Florentino Perez look like fucking Einstein the way he was acting. I mean, he literally accused Gyokeres' agent of blackmail threat. Like, I doubt he wants to turn around and pay this same agent 10% every time they reject a bid. Does not. You're losing money at that point. If you reject 3 bids, you're of like 50s, whatever, you're paying his agent 15 million pounds. So you're not even making money. It just does not make sense, man. This again, this is his fuck up though. So in approving that clause to begin with, it's just freaking weird, man. Danny says, I said it here weeks ago, 55 upfront with add-ons. We'll get Gyokeres. Dude, go get it done. The guy's literally like, looking at numbers and stuff, he's like the best striker in the world right now, hands down. Like, that's just the way it is. Some people might argue Isak because he's a little younger, but I'm just saying Gyokeres is like, he got 54 goals in all competitions last season and 52 matches last season, and he had double-digit assists, I think, as well. Like, that's insane. Like, that's insane. We might not, Gyokeres. I mean, Richard, who knows at this point? At this point, I can't even say with 100% certainty that we'll even sign a striker at this point. I really couldn't tell you, man. I wouldn't put it past us to maybe go get a midfielder and maybe like a young right wing back and then just stick with Xerxes and Højlund next season and then revisit striker in a year. I could not tell you at this point. I've given up trying to figure this out, man. Chris Goopsy says, can you place the Cantona frame shirt further back? We can only see Antona 7. I mean, I would, but it's centered on the wall underneath the Giggs jersey. And so what you're seeing, you're just looking at it at the angle I have. So if I push the camera back a little bit, like if I do this and then turn it like this, would that make you happier? I mean, now I'm just further away, but maybe that's better for you guys, but not that much further. Is that better? Let me know if that works for you, Koopsy. Nuba says, have Arsenal made up their mind who to sign for striker? They keep changing between Gyokeres and Šeško. Yeah, I couldn't. Honestly, I mean, on one hand, I don't really care who Arsenal are looking at because it's not my club. But at the other hand, like, it does maybe impact who we could sign as a striker. So it's hard not to see how everything. It's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, this transfer shit right now. I told you, strikers are going to be a domino effect right now. Once the first one falls, the rest of them are going to start falling. So whether it's us or Liverpool or Arsenal, once somebody starts signing, it's Šeško, it's Ekitike, it's Gyokeres, Osimhen. I don't know. Chelsea pretty much got theirs wrapped up. Something's going to happen. So we'll see what happens. You guys are funny. Yeah, and there used to be the Giggsy one, but the Giggsy one fell one day. I hit it, and then it kind of broke, and so I thought I would move it up a little bit so you guys couldn't see it. But this was actually the first shirt I ever had. This was a present from my dad way, way back when I was younger, when he got back from a business trip in England. He didn't go to a game or anything. He just saw it. I used to play. I've been playing since I was like 5, and so he knew. So I don't think my dad could even tell you who this is personally. But being a little 5, 6, 7, 8 year old, what is this? I would have been 8 or 9. Like, I was all about it, man. So that thing is still here, but big up. And if you guys look back at the community tab, you'll see some other photos I've taken of the studio / my library, because there's 4 more of these frames over than that wall, and then there's a couple of my jerseys are all on a rack, so I just run out of room. I had them in a box, and then I just keep buying more. I've got 2 more on the way. You guys will see them soon, hopefully, but it's ridiculous. But big up, man. Glad you guys can see it. Steven, welcome back. I remember you. The reality is we can't go into the season banning the freedom fighters and signing Cunha, maybe Mbeumo, United have got to have a plan. They just have to. Well, I'm sure the plan, as was made evident way back in Christmas when, you know, a couple of these players were benched, Garnacho and Rashford, and then sent on loan, you know, all season long. I'm sure the plan was you need to go. I don't know why we didn't push harder for like an obligation, but apparently obligations mean fuck all in contracts these days. I don't know. Maybe there's just a weird dictionary. Maybe someone's got like a weird dictionary that I've never heard of where obligation means something completely different. But I thought obligation meant obligation. Apparently not. But the problem is we give them these players too high wages, and that's not an Ineos thing. That's not a Amorim thing. It's not a Ten Hag thing. It's the people who were making those decisions at the time thing. I don't know who thought giving Anthony this much money from Ajax. I mean, it was literally 10 times wages increase to come from Ajax. Sancho, what were we thinking giving him $300K a week to start? That's ridiculous. Garnacho, I'm shocked, is still here. Of the bunch, he's probably the most appealing option. He's younger. He had a really good season. Puskas winner, $50K a week. Like, it just makes so much sense that someone would pick him up. Maybe he could go to Bayern. Who knows? I would not be shocked to see that happen, but it's just funny that 4 wingers are the ones we got to get rid of, and a couple of them just happen to be absolute dicks right now. I'm not faulting Anthony. He's just not his fault. He's just not good. He hasn't come out and acted like an absolute tit like these other 3 assholes. But what are you going to do? But I hear you, man. Lucky says if Barcelona waste time, then Bayern Munich are there going aggressive. I think Bayern are going to wait and see what happens with Musiala, because that can completely shift their whole transfer strategy. I'm sure they weren't planning on it. But again, this is why I can't stand friendlies. I don't care what you want to call it. It's a fucking friendly tournament. And this is the kind of shit that happens, man. And I'm not trying to take focus away from Musiala. Remember, we started the show by just wishing him the best. But I don't like this. And I'm sure company's fucking livid right now. But it's because he's managing Bayern Munich. So Richard says, I got a framed Northern Ireland shirt signed by Georgie. Big up. That's legit. I keep on my wife says if I find something really expensive, I'm allowed to get myself one thing. And so I'm looking for like a shirt from the 68 final, which is going to be impossible to find. It just really is. But I would love that. We remember one of the What If episodes, Richard Hawkins was on George Best in season 1, I believe that was. Go check those out if you guys haven't yet. 2 seasons all live right now. Nuba says, do you think Amorim is flexible enough to change some of the players' positions to cater to his needs? For example, Mazraoui from right center back, right wing back to CMC DM because his press resistance, ball carrier, forward pass. I don't know. I honestly don't think so. I think we have a lot of midfielders, to be honest, right now. I'm not saying that I would start them all, but we have a lot. We've got Collier. Bruno is probably going to end up playing there because if you sign Cunha, you sign Mbeumo. Bruno is definitely playing a deeper role, so count him as a deeper role. Ugarte, Casemiro, Mainu. We have a lot of midfielders. I don't think, and plus, I think Mazraoui has definitely shown that some of his better positions are in that right center back role. But we've also got a lot of players there too. I think Licha, probably don't plan on Licha being back. Mazraoui could fill in left back if we need him to. So it's good. We've got some rotation now, but we'll see. Lucky, yeah, I think Aston Villa would be a good fit for Garnacho too. But yeah, Anthony's the only one who can hold his head up high. I mean, his team, in terms of like actual quality, maybe not. But I think it's just a matter of leagues. I've said it many times. It's just looking at the system, looking at the league sometimes more important than just, you know, this player looks good for us, because they don't always work. Like, we can look at wingers till the cow comes home, but we don't really play with like wingers, like traditional wingers. And so it doesn't really matter, if that makes sense. Yeah, I saw some clips, dude. It looked rough. But we will see what happens. Big up, Jarvis. Good to see you again, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the channel. How's everyone doing on a Saturday? It's Saturday. It has not felt like Saturday. It's been hot, though. I don't know what my dumb ass thought I was doing going for a run when I was done working out. I went for a run at like noon, which is the worst time of day to do that. I was dying, dude. I was just dying, but I did it, and so I'm happy with myself. But Lucky says 2 players now pushing full moves: Rashford, Anthony, Santos. Big up. So, yeah, Victor Gyokeres, who knows what's going to happen, but apparently, according to Ebola, at least, Sporting are softening their stance just a little bit, but we'll see. I honestly couldn't tell you what other positions we could strengthen aside from Cunha and Mbeumo. I've kind of given up trying to figure out what we're going to be doing, because every day it seems like We don't really have a plan, or at least the plan is just to move half the speed of smell and target one player at a time, which is ridiculous. I would have prioritized a keeper because I think that was probably the position we needed most because Onana's just that bad. We've been linked to a ton of midfielders, though, obviously, and a lot of them share very similar traits. Good on the ball, press resistant, physical, good passing range. And I like that, a bit of that hardworking mentality as well. So a lot of the midfielders that we've been linked with, a lot of the midfielders I've looked at for players I would like, they all kind of share those traits, right? One such player is Palmeiras midfielder Richard Rios. You guys have been talking about a little bit today already. We've been linked to him for almost a year, basically. The links aren't going away. Alfredo Padilla had another update today for us. This is what he had to say. Manchester United tracking Richard Rios at every Palmeiras match. He's admired by Wilcox and Pavel, and he's the cheaper and attainable alternative to Ederson at 20 to 25 million euros. That's like 17, 21 million pounds, which I think is a good price for a midfielder like that. That age that we're looking at, again, literally like half the price, less than half of what Ederson has cost. I think it's a good price, especially when you look at his numbers. I brought up his percentiles here. It's a lot of green. And if you look, he's definitely a good ball carrier. He's definitely got a pass in him for sure, but he's got that physicality too. He just tackles, wins the ball backs. I like a lot of what I see from Richard Rios. I did not buy for a second the 85 million stuff that we saw a while ago, but he's definitely got the numbers that we're looking at from midfield right now. Definitely looking like he can contribute. The question again is, is the step up from Palmeiras. What's that going to look like? Esteval going to Chelsea from Palmeiras. We'll see some of these players come from Brazil, and some of them have, like Andre went to Wolves from Fluminense. Slowly bedded in, but he started looking good towards the latter half of the season, right? Sometimes it is a big step up, and I think we forget that sometimes. As good as the player looks, as good as the percentiles look, it's a big step up because it's not just about the physicality of the league. It's not just about the caliber of the competition. It's not just about, the position itself, the moving from a different country. Sometimes it is about the pressure of playing for Manchester United. It's just you're in a fishbowl that is also a pressure cooker at the same time. And it's almost like a little bit like Chinese water torture sometimes with the constant drip of the media and whatnot getting at you. Like, that's just part of it. And some players crumble under that pressure. Some players get burnt out. Like, I think that's a big part of why Rashford just looks like he just doesn't care. I think he's just burned out. He's just done. Like, he just wants to not have the constant attention and constant pressure and constant just badgering of the media every day. He just wants to go play football without all that noise. And I don't fault him for that. I think the way he went about it is completely wrong. But I just think that it does play a role. I think Onana's confidence has been shattered by coming to United personally. This is why I think Andre Lunin will be a great pick for keeper, because if you can handle the pressure of starting for Real Madrid like he did in Courtois' injury absence, you can definitely handle the pressure of Manchester United for sure. But that's just my opinion personally. But Rios' numbers do look very, very good personally. So let me take that off the screen for y'all because, that's how we roll. I got a scouting report coming up for you guys, though, so don't go away. Make sure you're hitting that like button for me, guys. 29 people. Wow, that's awesome. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Subscribe for me, you guys. Nubis wants to know, do you think Heaven is not ready to start at left center back? I keep saying Maz, right center back, De Ligt, Maguire, Euro. Yeah, I think Heaven, he's probably ready, like, in terms of, like, you've seen him play. He's good enough, but I don't think that I don't think I would call him the starter. If I were Amorim, I wouldn't start him every week. Like, bring him on for substitute appearances here and there. Maybe during these cup runs and things like that. I think that I wouldn't have a problem with that. He'll get minutes for sure. We've seen how good he is. He's very, very good, Aiden Heaven. And I think it's a good problem for us to have. Keep in mind that Amorim didn't sign Mazraoui. He didn't sign Ugarte. He actually sold Ugarte from Sporting to PSG when he was there. So keep in mind that a lot of these players part of it is they are Ineos signings, but they're not necessarily Amorim signings. It was very weird that Ineos picked a lot of these players for a system when they were already looking at Amorim. I still think that was very odd, but Mazraoui's shown that he can do the job at right center back. He still gets done by pacey, tricky wingers. He still is guilty, I think, of taking a little too many risks sometimes on the edge of his own box with the ball, choosing to try to carry it across his box instead of just passing it forward. And we've lost possession and put ourselves in trouble a couple times because of that. So Mazraoui's not infallible, but I definitely don't have a problem with it. But there's nothing wrong with Heaven being, fourth or fifth choice personally. I think Maguire has acquitted himself well last year enough to be considered, fourth, fifth choice as well. So not a problem in my opinion, but lucky. Yeah, we need to start telling these agents to go find their clients some fucking clubs, dude. Richard says, I have a 68 program signed by everyone except Nobby, which obviously you cannot get. Yeah. That's awesome, though. A nice little piece of memorabilia. I've got a couple of pieces of stuff. So I got a photo of Ryan Giggs someplace over here that's autographed. I've got a jersey that was signed by Ferguson framed over here. You can't really see it. And I've got an armband signed by Pallister framed over there on the wall. You guys can go look at the photo of that and you see that over there. So I have started moving on to a little bit of the memorabilia. I've got one of these bad boys too. You guys can't see this behind me. Guys, can you see that? It's a Bobby Charlton card, one of the original cards. I've got that back there too. So I'll put that back there. And I have this little resin cube, one of the pieces of Old Trafford grass when they redid the turf a while back. So I've started going into that nerd route of actual unique memorabilia as well. So what do you guys have to say about Rios? Danny says, Rios, baller, saying it over a year. Yeah. It's so funny to me when you think back of where he came from, because the guy was playing street footy, right? It wasn't like he came through the typical kind of career path, and he's picked up, which is cool. Danny says he was well able for Chelsea last night. Good. I like that. No, we're not allowed to talk about him, Nubis. That is we shall not be named. We do not talk about that at all. We can't. You're going to make me cry. You're going to make me cry if you start talking about he who shall not be named. I can't read your comment. Danny says the build-up in his cross to Estevao's quality, was it? Yeah, you guys know I don't watch the Club World Cup. Some bullshit, granddad. Chris Coops says, what's the thoughts on the two number 8? I think we need two defensively minded playmakers. Unfortunately, Ugarte isn't that guy. See, I didn't think Ugarte was that guy. But then if you deep his his progression numbers earlier in the season, they were actually pretty good. And then he kind of dipped a little bit. And then towards prior to these last couple matches, he was actually doing very well. He was the guy who was dropping deep to pick up the ball. He was showing a lot of press resistance to get himself out of pressure. And then for some reason, he just stopped being used by Amorim. So I have no idea what happened there. And I don't think he's this silky, deep-lying playmaker, but I think that he has shown me enough that he has in his locker. So I'm just not sure why there's not the consistency there. But I definitely don't. Ugarte is not deep-lying playmaker is not what I think of when I think of Ugarte, I guess, if that makes sense. But he's not completely inept on the ball. But yeah, you're right. I mean, that's what Bruno is going to be there for. But really, ideally, you want both, right? You want both those positions to be kind of your old school midfielders who, your old school 8s like Scholesy, like Keno. They can do a little bit of everything. That's kind of what we want. And so we'll see what happens. Nubis says Rios is the type of player that Portuguese signed for 20 million and sell to big club for 60, 70. Yeah, he can be, but he's already older, right? In his mid 20s. And so you're kind of getting what you're getting from him. So Jarvis, what do you guys say? Check out the heat map of Richard Rios compared to Ander Herrera. It's pretty similar. We'd love for us to sign Rios. Believe it could be a brilliant signing too. Yeah, I mean, and then I have no problem with that. But again, I always have to look at the clubs as well, because that does make a big difference in how players are used at their clubs. If you look at the way, look at Ndidi when they went back down to the championship, right? He got a little less pressure. The quality of the competition wasn't there. And so that's when you started seeing Ndidi become more of a box to box. But then Leicester, they get promoted. It is literally all hands on deck, right? It's consolidate, it's try not to concede. And so a lot of these players, including Ndidi, were kind of thrown back into this defensive position that he started being known for when he first got to Leicester. Amrabat is another example. Everybody remembers Amrabat at that World Cup when he chased down Mbappe and made that beast mode tackle, right? And so for some reason, everybody was like, look at this guy. He's a midfield destroyer. He can do it all. But that's not the way Amrabat plays. If you look at when he was at Fiorentina, Amrabat was a ball progression machine, like a Michael Carrick. He was basically the kind of midfielder that we're looking for right now. He was just like that because Morocco went into that World Cup like 27th or something ranked. And when you're 27th or something ranked in the World Cup, you're going to be playing like a side facing relegation in the Premier League. You're going to consolidate. You're going to play a little more defensive. And your midfielders, who technically are more ball progressors, are going to be relied upon to be a little more defensive. And so sometimes that does play into it as well. Palmeiras in the Club World Cup, probably not seen as like the favorites to going into this. Maybe that has a lot to do with it. But we do know that Richard Rios does have a little bit of both. We looked at those numbers just a little bit ago. The ball progression is very good. The take-ons, the successful dribbles, very, very good. And the tackle numbers are very, very good as well. So I've watched him a little bit. I like what I see. It's a toss. Like, there are a lot of midfielders out there. Midfield market's actually very full right now with quality. You don't have to go spend a lot of money to get a quality midfielder. I looked at Nicholas Seewald at Leipzig. Leipzig aren't in Europe either. Maybe he could be an option as well. I think he suits that role. There's a ton out there. So let's see what y'all are saying here. Danny, you can't. Danny, you know better than that. Don't mention him. You're going to make me cry, dude. What are you doing? Nubis says Rios is the type of player that Portuguese. Oh, I already read that. Danny says Rios is the perfect 8 for Amorim. We'll see. It's just one of those things because it's like Dorgu again, where we were linked to Dorgu over a year ago. Like, going into last summer, we were linked to Dorgu long before Amorim was here, and then we signed Dorgu. And so maybe it's the same thing as Rios. Maybe Ineos is basically just building the squad, and Amorim is the head coach now instead of the manager. Maybe that's just the way we're going to be doing it. Who knows, man? Buck says, haven't only started 3 games for us and played 90 minutes once. Wouldn't rush him. Yeah. He's definitely looked excellent when he has played. Like, I don't worry about heaven is all. I guess that's the best way I can say it. Like, I wouldn't start him, but I don't ever worry when he plays. Like, I feel like he's fine. So, Boxes Villa have no money to spend. Yeah, they're definitely broke as a joke. We talked about that yesterday, how they got hit with some fines recently. So we'll see what happens. Let me move out. Danny says Ugarte is good to start against certain opposition. Yeah, when you need to win that midfield battle, like I wanted him to do against Spurs in the final, like, just stick Ugarte in there and let him just cause problems. Like, if you can't have people like Bruno and Casemiro starting in the midfield, and like, they're not going to be able to keep up for that. So, like, when you're playing against like Newcastles and whatnot, you're gonna need somebody with legs in that midfield. This is why I want us to play a 3-5-2. Instead of relying on perfect qualities from 2 midfielders, pack another body in there and let them do their thing. That way everybody gets a little bit less to worry about. And you've got these 2 attackers in Mbeumo and Cunha who can just cause problems for the opposition. Richard says, okay, guys, I have to go. Pubs are out. Now I have to put on this. Big up, man. Well, good to see you again, Richard. Welcome back. Asif, welcome back, Asif. It's time to move on from Mbeumo. Now, we talked about that a little bit the other day. I think that we probably could have just put in a better offer early on and probably would have gotten it done. But if we chase him for this long and move on, I'm going to be a little upset. But welcome back, Asif. Good to see you again. I'm trying to get involved. Trying to get caught up with everybody. Tactical Devil says, yeah, you make a strong case for Ndidi. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't me like saying I want Ndidi. It was just an example I could think of for circumstances kind of dictating the way players are used and then subsequently kind of impacting their stats, basically, if that makes sense. Steven says, any United games near you on the tour? If so, are you going to any of them? No, I don't go to friendlies here just because they're expensive. I mean, if people are complaining about ticket prices to go to a game who live in Manchester, you go, like, the shittest games here are going to be literally like almost $200. Like, I'm not doing that. And it's a friendly. I don't care about friendlies. Now, I try to go to Manchester every year, Steven. So I've gone the last 3 years, trying to plan my trip this year. So far, it's looking like the end of December. We've got back-to-back matches against Wolves and I want to say Newcastle at home. And those are within a couple days of each other. I always try to get at least 2 home matches in there if I can. So it does make it difficult, but it's really only worth going if you can get 2 matches in, because it's the same price for airfare, but you can get more matches. So it works. So that's the plan this year. We'll see how that goes. I'm still waiting to see the end of August what the Carabao Cup ends up looking like, because that could impact it as well. Then I got to see what the academy matches looks like, because I'd like to get to go to another academy match. You guys remember Justin and I went to an FA Youth Cup game this year when we went in January, so I'd love to get to go do that again. And maybe check out the women's team, see what their schedule is like. It's a lot to pack in, but that's pretty much what I do when I go there. Is I just try. It's all footy all day long. So, but no, I've tried to. Justin and I had tickets to go to the Real Madrid United game here a long time ago when they were at Ann Arbor. We ended up going to the Chelsea Real Madrid one because his brother's a big Chelsea fan as well. But no, I don't go to a whole lot of them when they're here ever. None of them are really ever here, which is surprising because the stadium in Ann Arbor holds almost 114,000 people. So I feel like that would make a ton of money. But what you gonna do? Lucky thinks that Rashford's going to Barca for sure. But yeah, Steven, where are you at? Are you getting to go to any of these friendlies at all? Nuba says, have you figured out yet how much United can spend under the new financial year? Have I figured it out? I didn't know I was supposed to figure it out. I don't ever know because PSR is a 3-year period. So I don't know if that's just like a rolling 3 years or if it's like 3 years and that's it. And then it's a new 3 years. If you guys want to learn more about that, I would go maybe read and listen to like Kieran Maguire or something, or maybe look at like the Swedish Rumble or something. Could probably have a little more. I don't claim to be any sort of expert when it comes to football finance. I know what I read, and then I read a lot. Like I've got Kieran Maguire's book up here behind me, The Price of Football. That's the name of his podcast as well. It's just, it is what it is. But no, I don't know how much. I knew we had a little bit of a budget of like around 100 going into the summer. I don't know what it is next. It might be more with if we get some sales now. I couldn't tell you, but oh, Steven's in Manchester. Nice. Well, you have to start. I need some recommendations. I'm always looking for new food when I go to Manchester. I'm trying to just always explore some new spots and things. Y'all don't really do breakfast out there. You have the full English, but there's not many breakfast places open near the stadium. And I always try to stay close to Old Trafford so I don't have to worry about trying to get a tram to the stadium on match day because I hear that's a nightmare. I'd rather take a tram downtown if I want to go downtown, if that makes sense. But I literally stay like a couple blocks from the stadium just so I can walk. So, but I'm always looking for restaurant recommendations around there. I found some really good ones. Oddly enough, Steven, the place that Justin and I found last time that's open and close to the stadium that has some fire breakfast was Tesco, which I forgot that they had like a restaurant cafe in there. And then we always go to the mall, the Arndale, and there's in that little like ethnic kind of market area, that grocery area, there's like this guy, I think it's called like Cluck Quack Moo or something. It's a little stall, but Justin and I love these duck burgers that you get there. They're so good. It's probably one of my favorite things, man. Fish and chip. Yeah, we found this place. I forget what it's called now. It was like in the lower part, someplace downtown near the football museum. There was this little place that you had to go downstairs. It was like on the basement area, and it was really good fish and chips though. A lot of people don't like mushy peas. I don't know why. Justin didn't like them. I love mushy peas. My wife doesn't like mushy peas. I love mushy peas. I love fish and chips. Tactical Devil says, if you're free tomorrow night at 9 UK time, I'd love to have you on as a guest on my channel. Awesome. Hit me up on Twitter if you can. The link's in the, because I'll forget. It was tomorrow. So what is that, 9 p.m.? What is that for me? 4? Should be good. Hit me up. Hit me a reminder and then send me a link for sure. I'd love to do that. Yeah, I appreciate that. But yeah, hit me up on Twitter or send a message if you need to. And if you need to send me a link and an email or anything, it's unitedstatesofunited@gmail.com is my email address for the channel. But awesome. Yeah, no, I'd love to do that. I've been on Rich's channel a couple times, just chatting and stuff in the past. So big up, man. I appreciate that though. I never claim to be an expert, just a guy with a camera who loves talking about footy. As you can see, it's pretty chill here. I just like having conversations. We're not even done with the news. We're just chatting now. But what's everybody saying in this poll so far? It's this even split between Bayern and someplace else. Let me know though if you think someplace else. Let me know where you think he might be going. If not Bayern or Barcelona. Really enjoy having a proper football discussion. I mean, I'll never say anyone's going to learn anything from my insight, but I definitely have opinions for sure. But I appreciate the praise, man. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Sanjay, big up, Sanjay. Good to see you again, my friend. Nuba says, if you ever come to Southeast Asia, I can recommend the foods here. That sounds fire. I like traveling. My wife doesn't like traveling. She doesn't like flying. And we have 2 dogs, so it's definitely hard to travel right now with the 2 dogs, especially with the one needing ACL surgery in a couple weeks. So she's going to be out of commission for a couple months for sure. I'm glad that the recovery is not as long as I thought it was going to be. So after a couple weeks, she'll be back kind of going on small walks and stuff, but it's definitely going to be a minute. But Tackle Devil says, yes, I'm happy return the favor. Come on your channel anytime. I've thought about that a couple times. So obviously we didn't do it this past week, but we started doing the Kickabout show every week with Dylan, and Dylan will show up. It's just, and I'm sure you'll say this as well, Jarvis. It's just hard to coordinate times with everybody so much. And then obviously with the time difference, it is very, very difficult for a lot of that. It's just difficult to get people who get the time. And that's just like scheduling. I'm not even talking about the people who actually have like other stuff going on, like kids and stuff. Like it's very, very difficult. And then I like to make sure, like, I'm not like cracking the whip, but I'm like, I prefer when people come on, like they not like fully research. They don't have to be experts, but just like, know what they're talking about a little bit. I'm not saying I do, but if you come on and just wing it, sometimes it does, sometimes things are wrong, but I appreciate that, man. I do think that it's nice seeing the communities grow. It's nice seeing channels kind of support each other and just kind of, link up and connect. You guys know this isn't my job. This is just something that I just do for fun because this is how I talk about United when I'm on the phone or I'm at the pub or when I'm playing with people. This is the same guy I am. I have a job. This is just something I do for fun, but I figured if I'm going to read and watch and research and talk about this, I might as well do it on camera. Might as well just kill two birds with one stone. But it's been a blast seeing the community grow, you guys. Make sure you're liking and subscribing. We're on the road to 3K. We were like 10 shy of 2.5K when this started. So who knows? Bit of random news before I jump into this scouting report, because you guys know I do like scouting reports. It's kind of United related, but also kind of not. So Eintracht Frankfurt just signed Jonathan Burkhart from Mainz, having a really good season. Burkhart, I think he's a young German striker. They were also linked, Eintracht Frankfurt, though, to another striker who has been linked to us in the past, and that's Brøndby striker Mathias Kvitsgaarden. We did a little mini scouting report on him when those links popped up, if you guys remember a while ago. But, and this is part of why I do these scouting reports, why I'm a bit of a nerd. When I see these links, when I notice players having really good seasons, I make note. I save them. I follow them. I keep an eye on stats. And that's what I did with Kvitsgaarden when those links first started. He's had an incredible season, 23-year-old now, 23 goals, 6 assists in all competitions, Kvitsgaarden. Hardworking, modern attacker. He has solid tackle interceptions, number 2, so he puts in a shift off the ball. Does look like he's going to Norwich, but good news is for anybody who doesn't watch Danish football, you can probably watch him a little bit more now if he goes to Norwich. Then again, this isn't a scouting report. I noticed this and it just made me think, okay, this is part of why I keep an eye on these players. It's just a friendly reminder to everybody, like make a mental note of some of the players that you see in the rumors and stuff. It's a good habit to get into and it really helps you kind of keep an eye on them as they have a little bright spark, and then you see if that is an upward trend or if you see if it's just like a spike or something. But so that wasn't a scout report, but this is like that little segue. Say hello to Alexei Batrikov. I know you guys are like, Sean, how the F are you watching players in Russia? Don't ask, you guys. But basically, say hello to the Russian Bruno Fernandov, we'll call him. He's an excellent player. Lokomotiv Moscow, number 10, 20 years old. Excellent mentality. The guy just loves to be on the ball. Very good chance. He plays exactly like Bruno plays. And I don't mean just like he's a chance creator. Look at this dude's freaking heat map. It's just a Bruno Fernandes heat map. Look at he's got the corners. He's all over that midfield. He basically owns the final third. He's an absolute beast. Came through the youth ranks at Lokomotiv and was named player of the season that season in the youth. Top playmaker of the season during that 2023 Russian Youth League season. He had a handful of first-team appearances as a teenager 2 seasons ago, but then immediately got pushed into the starting 11 last season. And that faith in him paid off in dividends, not those kind of dividends. I know dividend is a 4-letter word when you're a United fan. Scored in his third appearance for the first team. 15 goals, 9 assists in the Russian Premier League last season. 7 goals in his first 9 games. He has an excellent shot. He's got the kind of shot conversion that strikers hope for. It's a 33% shot conversion, which is very, very good. For a 20-year-old in his first season in the first team, yeah, that's amazing. SofaScore team of the season, second-rated player in the Russian league behind Ezekiel Barco, who, Danny, you might remember Ezekiel Barco. I loved Ezekiel Barco a few seasons ago. I remember when he was at Atlanta United. But Batrikov he was a third top scorer in the Russian Premier League last season, 7th in the league for assists, tied first for goals and assists combined, 3rd for big chances. He created 12 big chances, and he was 2nd for key passes per 90. The kid is an absolute baller. Excellent percentiles. Now, you can't find his percentiles in FBref. They don't keep track of some leagues, but these are some of his percentiles right off the top of there. I can bring up some of his other ones on FootMob if we want to. Hold on a second. I can show these to you guys while we're here, but those are just a snapshot of his stats. Let me go. FootMob's website is completely different now. All right, let me do this real quick. You guys see that now? All right. So if you look, these are FootMob's percentiles. We'll do it as a per 90 real quick. So we're looking at goals, excellent, greens, assists, passes, long balls, chance creation, crosses, excellent, greens, touches, green for being dispossessed, good interception numbers as well. The kid is very, 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 very good. I like what I see from him a lot, personally. Yeah, I wonder remember Barco. Yeah, me too. I kind of forgot about him for a little bit. But this kid is very, very good. He's already getting interest from clubs in Europe. Wolfsburg were very, very interested in him recently. Lokomotiv, actually, though, even just, again, it's kind of like the he who shall not be named first season in the mirror on the first team. They tied him down to a long contract right away because he was getting looked at by everybody. So his new contract runs to 2029. He's already valued between 10 million and 12 million. So his value is already very, very good for a teenager in his first season. I like what I see from this kid. I know probably nobody really watches the Russian league, but absolutely a baller. So Nuba says, man, I feel sad whenever I see these kind of talents because deep down I know United won't sign them. If we are smart, we would have signed Kvicha before he joined Napoli. If we were smart, maybe, but he's just been expensive. I don't know if we want to spend that much. And at the time, we had to look at who we had in the squad. I don't know if United really felt like that was going to be a priority position. But I do like Kvaratskhelia. He always seemed destined for something a little higher up than United, unfortunately, in terms of just clubs that are challenging for more trophies at the moment. But I do like him a lot. So Jarvis says, wow, I haven't heard about this guy. I love his heat map. The only difference between Bruno and him is those wide areas. Yeah. And that's probably because Bruno's got a little bit more of experience. And honestly, Bruno's in a shit side right now. But Nobu says, as a Russian, this kid is strangely very short. He's also still just 20. So remember, you don't really stop growing until you're in your early mid-20s in terms of just your development, your physical development. So he's got some time to get a little big out there. I don't even remember how tall he was. He definitely wasn't that tall. 168. What's 168 centimeters? I don't know that off the top of my head. Somebody tell me. Very good young player. I like this kid a lot. Alexei Batrikov, you guys, the first Russian that we've looked at on this. No, maybe not the first Russian. No, because we did Strike. Forget his name now. I forget who his name was. We did him several months ago, but very good young player. Like I said, the Russian Bruno in a lot of ways. Bruno Fernandov, as I'm starting to call him, but really good young player. Go check him out if you can. I'll put one of those photos up on the community tab so people can see who we're doing the scouting reports on. But I've gotten a little bit more of a scouting kick these last couple of days. It's funny, as I'm looking back at all those old scouting reports, I'm getting like hyped up again and everything. So we're doing more scouting reports these days. Debasi says 38% shot attempts suggests he lacks confidence in the box. Well, most of his goals are from in the box, but remember, his job is to find the striker, not to score the goals necessarily. But again, I'm not going to complain when a 20-year-old in his first season in the first team gets 15 goals, 9 assists. I think he's doing just fine personally, but I hear you. He says, Sean, I said before Kvicha joined Napoli the same year Erik Ten Hag joined United. Napoli bought him for 12 million, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, these are the dark times. Remember, Ten Hag, unless you played for Ten Hag, you probably wasn't going to join us. But I think that I'm not saying I don't like Kvaratskhelia. I most of the time you're gonna look at me and you're gonna be like, why are you recommending this? Why? It's not that I want these things. I'm just trying to look at it through the lens of maybe how the club or the managers are looking at things. And I just like with keepers, I can say I don't think we're going to sign a keeper or left-sided center back. It doesn't mean I don't want us to. I just don't think the club is prioritizing those things. Unfortunately, keeper was probably my top priority, but it wasn't the club's. But I get you, Nubis. I mean, coulda, shoulda, woulda, man. I think that another day. I think Kvaratskhelia would be very good in this system. I think he spends most of his time really in those channels, really operating in those tight areas. I think he could suit the system very well. But I like what we get from Cunha. I like Mbeumo a lot. With Bruno rolling deep, providing those chances. Dorgu getting high up the pitch. Dorgu is actually very good in those little triangles as well. I think it'll be really good. Debasi says we should listen to Ronaldo when he said to hire Louis. Well, Ronaldo kind of ruined it for everybody with the way he acted on his way out, honestly. Tactical Devil says, same here. YouTube's just a hobby for me. I'm always on the lookout for people who really know their football well. I appreciate it's high praise if you think I know my footy, man. I'll never claim like I'd be an expert. I'm definitely not any sort of ITK. I definitely don't ever claim to break the news or anything. I'm just here to this is why I schedule my streams later so we can kind of recap the news from the day and get everyone's thoughts. It's very rare that I'm going to try to go live immediately when something breaks, because it's just I have a schedule and stuff. I can't always do that. So, but that's also why my streams don't always start at the same times, because my schedule is always different, whether it's clients or like this PFA class that I'm in that sometimes runs all day and they're 5 hours ahead. So it screws up my schedule too. So it's hard, but what you gonna do? How about this latest bit from former United striker coach Benni McCarthy? Obviously, the thumbnail that we all saw moving in. But Benni McCarthy has given a lot of interviews. He's speaking this time to Bet Online promo codes, I think it was called, for some reason. But he was talking a little bit about United's transfer policies in recent years, the way things are going about, and some of the rifts and the disagreements going on behind the scenes, as well as Ten Hag's supposed lack of backing. Now, we know that not every manager at United has been backed with their top signings, right? Their top targets. We know that. It just happens. It's academic. Now, all these people will say, well, you spent this much, you spent this much. It doesn't matter how much you spend. It matters how you spend it. And we have spent it poorly. If I had to make Thanksgiving dinner and I needed my wife to go run out and buy food that I needed, and instead of bringing back turkey and stuffing and stuff, she brought back ice cream and cereal. Cool, you spend a lot of money. It's not what I needed. And so it doesn't help me at all. It is what it is. And so cool. Now we're all just going to shove a bunch of cereal inside this turkey and call it Thanksgiving. Awesome. It's not how it works. But McCarthy sort of hinted at a clear disagreement at times between the coaching staff, the scouts, and the managers and whatnot when it comes to, the targets and things. So let's run through some of what Benni McCarthy had to say. I've got a couple slides for you, so stick around with me here. So started off talking about, some of the targets that were missed. And one of those was Cody Gakpo. Remember, we were having a link with Cody Gakpo. I loved Cody Gakpo at the time. He was one of the best attackers in Europe at that time, doing absolute bits for PSV Eindhoven. Ended up moving to Liverpool in January, which is just strange. People forget Liverpool signed a lot of players in January over the last couple of years, despite trying to pretend like they don't spend money. Fuck off, Scousers. But Benni McCarthy said, Cody Gakpo was the one that we wanted the most and missed out on. I think he was the first player that we sat down and discussed and decided that he was the player who would fit in perfectly. I watched the player. I made my case for why he would be ideal. He could play on the left. He could work as a false nine. With him and Rashford, we have been strong down the middle and on the left-hand side. Then I was told the scouting department had watched him numerous times and they didn't rate him. They said the stats weren't right. For me, with my experience, I know what you need to deliver at a special club. You don't need stats to tell you that. The naked eye gives you so much more than just stats. I mean, it's both and, right? People can say what they like, but we tried to bring in great players that would fit. I know the manager always takes the blame, but sometimes the club needs to look at itself. Good players escaped our grasp. Eric knew what we needed. I think if Ten Hag had been given the players we wanted, he'd still be in charge now. The players we wanted are in the Premier League elsewhere and have excelled for United's rivals. That was why it ended for us. He didn't get who he wanted, and the board didn't give him what he wanted. I'll leave that last one up. Do you guys agree or disagree with Benni McCarthy here? I'm not saying, do you agree that our managers haven't been back? Because we know that that's true. But do you think that that's the reason Ten Hag got sacked is because he wasn't backed by the board? He didn't get the players he wanted. I mean, I think fans kind of, it's like, there's not like a divide when it comes to these things with fans, right? It's just up and down, because I do think fans, we kind of shift our views on some of this depending on the player, depending on the manager. Sometimes we like one more than the other, and that's easier. I think that because you've seen players, people say like managers, they need to change the system based on who they have. They need to get the best out of the players they have. And then sometimes it's, well, they didn't get the players they wanted, or they don't have the players that suit their system. Like, where's the line there? To me, the line seems to shift when it's depending on the manager. When it's a manager that people are not really feeling, they're very quick to say that they should be doing better. When it's a manager and they like, it's given time. He doesn't have the players yet for his system and stuff. For me, it's somewhere in the middle. I do think that like Amorim probably could have done a little better with his team selection at times, not so much, tinkering early on and things like that. And then like the final, we go on and on about the team selection, the final. I think that plays a part of it. But again, it's a whole new system and it's very different. And we know a lot of these players that we have are just not up for it physically, mentally, attitude, whatever. And so there's only so much you can do with that. Like it just is. But it's just a delicate line to navigate. What are you guys saying here? Debasi says, I agree with the bald man. The other bald man had terrible scouts. Debasi says, again, Ten Hag should have been sacked either before the season or after the season. Yeah, a lot of people are saying those kind of things. Nuba says, he got some of the players he wanted, but not the only player he needed, De Jong. Yeah, I was kind of off the De Jong thing back then just because he had already started picking up his ankle injuries and whatnot. And you guys know that I'm just completely done with injury prone players. The first hamstring issue, I'm like, well, it was nice knowing you. You might as well just caught a cold back in the 1700s because you ain't going to be here much longer. I'm done with it. No hamstrings for this guy. I'm absolutely done with it. But who knows? But that's a big claim to make, that if he had gotten the players that he wanted, Erik Ten Hag would still be in charge right now. He didn't get who he wanted, and the board didn't give him what he wanted. That was why it ended for us. That's so crazy to me. Now, this could be just Benni McCarthy being kind of bitter, finding a reason to blame, for him being let go. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. That could play a part in it as well. But, do you think, how much of that do you think? At that point, was it like, so Yakbo went like a season and a half right before Ten Hag got sacked. Was that correct? I can't remember now. Maybe it was a year. I can't remember now. So at that point, what was Ten Hag doing? He did win the FA Cup final that same season. So I don't know. What are you guys saying here? Nuba says he also wanted Rice, but didn't get him. Yeah, Ollie wanted Rice too. They were looking at Rice when Ollie was in charge. And they weren't convinced about him. Thought maybe he was a little young. Remember, we did that what if video not that long ago. I think that was the one that we did the what if David De Gea had saved just one penalty in the Europa League final a few years ago. That was that what if. You guys can go check those out too. Chris says Ten Hag was uptight on the surface as a fan looking in on his media actions. Yeah, I think Ten Hag's personality was just maybe on camera or maybe in the dressing room, maybe his personality just wasn't clicking with people. But a lot of journalists will say Ten Hag was actually a very funny guy. He had like a good sense of humor, is very approachable, but for some reason it just didn't translate to the players sometimes, didn't really translate to the media and pressers. Everybody was just going in on him left and right. I even had one United fan tell me that they thought Ten Hag was on the spectrum. And I was like, no, I just think he's really Dutch. I'm just kidding. I just think he's just got like that personality where it's just very matter of fact and stuff. But it is what it is. Ten Hag, the way everything went with Ten Hag really broke my heart because I watched a lot of Eredivisie. I watched a lot of Ajax under Ten Hag. They played beautiful, beautiful football. It just didn't work out at United. Let's see. Lucky Singh says Premier League players are important. They are. They are. I mean, they're more experienced in the league. That doesn't always, to me, that's not the deal breaker for sure. But I hear you. I know a lot of people feel that way. Tackle Devil says Ten Hag wasn't backed with his first choice targets. Ended up with a third or fourth picks. It's an unpopular take, but a lot of people completely misunderstand what happened. I mean, yes. I mean, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I know we wanted De Jong and we got Casemiro, and which obviously not the same. He definitely got a lot of his choices when it came to like Martinez. I think we were looking at Timber, but we got Martinez. We spent a big amount of money on Martinez. Anthony was a choice. Now I don't blame managers for the price that we pay for players. I don't blame managers for the wages. They don't decide that. Ten Hag wanted Anthony in like June. It was like 35 million. United waited till August and Ajax like tripled their price almost. That's not on Ten Hag. Nothing you can do there. Now I blame a little bit for the fact that, I mean, this, and you can only predict it so much, but Anthony just not cut out for the Premier League, but there's no way you could have known that because Anthony was a baller at Ajax. So it is what it is. I do think Ten Hag's talent identification left a little bit to be desired in terms of just the quality. He was still thinking in like Ajax mode when he really needed to kind of up his level a little bit. Like Malacia, I just never been convinced by Malacia, for instance. But I mean, it just is what it is. Not all of his targets were bad. Like Leach is very, very good. So Jarvis thinks he'll do well. Leverkusen, but his downfall was not standing up to the Leaches. Should have walked after the FA Cup. Maybe Ten Hag thought that having a little bit more control over the targets, getting a lot of these players to join his agency or whatever, maybe he thought that was a way to split the difference. I don't know, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't working out, man. It is what it is. I mean, he still won 2 trophies, so he'll tell you that. If you see him like at the restaurant, he'll say, "Hey, hi, I'm 2 trophies." Debasi says, recruitment to Ten Hag. You tell us exactly what you want, and we'll carefully explain why it cannot be. Is De Jong a starter for Bar? I don't know. I don't watch a lot of Barcelona. Personally, I don't really watch La Liga because I don't watch like 2-team leagues a lot of times. I watched a little bit just to see how some players at certain clubs are doing, like Girona, like when Gutierrez, I was watching more Gutierrez earlier this season. I would watch Girona a little bit, but I don't know off the top of my head. I've only watched them in the Champions League, and as far as I can remember, De Jong has played when I've watched. So, but Barcelona have been doing very good in tapping into their academy in these last couple of years, and I think that's really, they've got a lot of, like Pedri is a monster. Like when I got my level 2 talent identification with the PFSA, one of the assignments I had to do for that was watch a game and scout a player. And so I watched PSG versus Barcelona in the Champions League, and I did a scouting, basically a full page analysis on Pedri in that match, which was really cool experience to do. It's very different than just watching a match than to go on and actually watch it because I had to watch it like a couple times, because not only was I watching Pedri, but then I have to watch it again and kind of zoom out the lens and see where Pedri is in relation to where the ball is and stuff at different times, things like that. And I watch United matches usually twice anyway, because I try to watch the game live and then I go back and watch it from more of an analytical standpoint. But it's a good habit to get into, but not everyone has that time. But all that to say, I don't know, Chris. I don't know off the top of my head. Then he says, João Gomez was another one scouts referred to Ten Hag, but ended up getting Sabitzer on loan. Gomez went to Wolf. I mean, I doubt, like, and that's the thing that, like, I wonder, because I think, was that not more financially driven, those decisions? Like, that's why I was like, why didn't we even consider going to try to get Marcus Thuram for a little bit more that January? Like, how much was the loan fee for Weghorst? Like 5-6 million? I don't remember. Could have maybe gotten to like 10-12 million, and maybe could have gotten Thuram in January from Mönchengladbach before he left for free. That could have been something we could have tried. Like, it's annoying, dude. I'm going to get pissed if I talk about that. Sanjay said, Ten Hag was really good at Ajax, but he was criticized for his lack of charisma. Yeah, I don't really care about charisma. I really don't care how eloquently you speak on camera and a presser, as long as you win matches. It really doesn't matter to me. I don't care. I don't need Benedict Cumberbatch out here giving me pressers. I just need him to go win matches, right? I don't care. Lucky is waving the Premier League proven flag. Debasi says Villa still isn't budging from 60 million for Watkins, and I'm still not budging on the fact that I don't want Ollie Watkins for 60 million pounds. Doesn't move the needle for me. Chris thinks the best ballers glide across the pitch. If you identify the trait, you identify a baller. And there's a trap in there too, Chris. Potentially when you are scouting. So there's a couple scouting books back here right now. There's a thing called the halo effect where a player has a certain good trait or something, you kind of take that trait and you focus on that trait, and you're only seeing the player through that trait instead of kind of thinking a little bit more objectively. It is a thing. It's called the halo effect. So I see what you're saying, but if you go in looking for certain traits, sometimes you'll miss out on a lot of other stuff as well. Scouting is really interesting stuff, man. The more I learn about it, like you can get a master's in talent identification now. Did you know that? If you have a lot of money to go blow, you can literally get a master's degree in it. I've kind of considered it, trust me. But I think this PFA course, this year-long course, I think this is enough. I already have a master's. I don't need another master's. I don't love school that much. Lucky says if Garnacho offers himself to Villa, then we get Watkins. Yeah, it's not a fair trade. It's really not. So Debasi's any center back and right wing back scouting reports. We've done a couple. You kind of have to go back and look around at some of the. We do a lot of scouting reports on this channel, man. And so that's why I'm starting to post the ones we do in the community tab after, because I forget when I do them. But we've done a lot. We've done a lot of center back stuff, and so you have to just go back and watch some of the videos. If you go back and find some of the, the summer budget stuff, it's totally random what I do. I feel like I did do a right wing back one the other day recently. I just forget who it was now because it's in and out. But I feel like I did just do one not that long ago. A young player. Danny, if you remember who it was, let me know, man, because I forget, dude. Chris says Benni McCarthy looks like he's holding the fart. He might be. He's at Old Trafford. He's holding it in until he leaves, so we don't get done by the hygiene department again. But big up. Yeah, I wish I remembered who all the scouting reports are, but I forget because I do so many of them, unfortunately. But yeah, that's what Benni McCarthy had to say. The guy, just basically is a professional interviewee these days. He's given a lot of talks. He's talked a lot about United. Remember, he did that interview several months ago saying Ten Hag had no intensity and things like that, but now he's back in Ten Hag, so who knows. Let me check back in with this poll. So far 38% of you think that Rashford is going to be playing somewhere else, not United, not Bayern, not Barcelona, but no one's given me an example of who they think, so and where they think he could go. Dario Osario, Midtjylland, one to watch. Debasi's more of a right wing though. Yeah, I thought I saw him going. He's leaving, Dario Osario. I thought I saw his name in the news recently. Interesting. Jarvis says, definitely. The halo effect is something we fans really need to be aware of. I'm a bit worried about Gyokeres if we end up signing him. If honest to God, it's going to sound like I'm just stubborn, because I've been watching Gyokeres since he was at Coventry. Gyokeres is a player that I'll never wonder about if we sign him. I think he's just, I feel like there's zero risk there whatsoever. The guy has played in England, had baller 2 seasons at Coventry, gone and dominated at Sporting. I think he'll be just fine personally. He knows amorim, he knows the system. Now he wants to play Champions League probably, so it's always going to be difficult. A lot of this is going to depend on what Arsenal do. Who knows what's going to happen, but yeah, I would never worry about Gyokeres. Obviously, there's never a 100% guarantee. He's just one that if we signed, I wouldn't worry about him having to adjust. I wouldn't worry about him having to get his level there, physicality. I think he has everything you already need personally, but that's just me. And maybe it is a little bit of bias because he is one that I've followed for a while. But again, you guys saw my summer rebuild. My choice was in that rebuild video, Jonathan David, because the point of that video was a budget. So Jonathan David, but it is what it is. So interesting. Lucky says Gyokeres one big flop, showing not Premier League proven. He did it at Coventry, and quite frankly, I think if you can do it in the Championship, and you could definitely do it. Now, he did just miss out on that golden boot to Chuba Akpom that year, who ended up going to Ajax and basically flopping at Ajax. And so again, nothing's ever a guarantee, but I think that could be an example of, choosing the right career path. It could be an example for the quality of player. Who knows? But I like what I see from Gyokeres. His goals last year speak for themselves, honestly. But let me see. Let me finish up with a couple more. Danny says, no, I don't remember where I just saw a rumor, man. I'll look it up for you, Danny. I I can't remember where I saw that. Thought I saw target for Liverpool, maybe. Yes, that's what. Yeah, Liverpool target. Um, yeah, I just remember him seeing a rumor, man. So let's see. Chris says, "Hear you, bro. If you see a player who glides, you see a player." Iniesta, Zidane, you guys do this. Giggsy used to be a glider. If you remember Giggsy, just when he used to just get those legs open on that wing, dude, it looked like he was on ice skates and everyone else was just standing in like knee-deep water, dude. Giggsy was an absolute magical player to watch back in his prime. He's probably one of my favorite players in a United shirt. There's a reason this shirt used to be here, and I had to move it up because it broke. But Giggsy, man, I'm still kicking myself. I didn't try to go get a photo and say hi to him when Justin and I went to that Salford match a couple of years ago. Justin and I, our first trip, we went to Salford versus Crewe, so we had to take a train to Crewe, and we got our seats, and literally like 5 rows ahead of us, Giggsy, Nicky Butt, and Alex Bruce were there at the match, literally like 5 rows ahead of us. And they left at halftime. We had to leave at halftime because we had to catch the train, but I'm just kicking, because I'm not really like a selfie kind of person, but I'm kicking myself. I rectified it 2 years ago when I met Vidic at the airport. He was on my plane, so I definitely got a photo with him. I wasn't going to miss out twice, but yeah, I'm just not, maybe I'm old. I don't know. I didn't have a cell phone until I was like 16 because we didn't really have them until I was in high school back then. So Chris says Giggs is a pine. Yeah, Giggs was an absolute beast, dude. So Danny says, yeah, they had a bit rejected last year. Filthy pin dippers. Oh, Danny knows how to get on my good side. So, but in any case, that's it for me, everyone. The Benni McCarthy thing was the big news of the day, in my opinion, just because, Benni McCarthy, we all miss him. I think he did a great job with the strikers back then, but I think that some things he had to say, some of it we didn't already know. Some of it is interesting stuff, maybe a bit controversial to some, but let me know what you thought about the news. If you weren't able to catch the live, you guys, make sure you leave a comment. You guys know I check the comments regularly. Make sure you're liking the video. Make sure you're subscribing. Jarvis, send me a message, either email or on Twitter if you can. Remind me, and I will clear my schedule for sure. And then you guys go check out the memberships. Go check out the links in the video description in there as well. Remember, today and tomorrow, 20% off in the United vs. Everybody store. Everything you guys buy in there, any super chats, any of that goes to charity for the next couple months as part of the thing that my wife is helping fundraiser for. So no pressure, but just remember that's what it's going for. But I give you guys crazy. I don't charge much on that stuff anyway, and I always activate the sales for you guys. So Jarvis says, fair enough. We disagree. I feel he relies too much on his physicality and overcompensates with it. When he comes to the Premier League, worried he'll hit his ceiling pretty quickly. It's a different beast altogether. It could be. I'm not saying like he's just, if I had to pick any signing that I felt like I wouldn't have to worry about any adjustment period, that would probably be the one, but you never know. Like, could be wrong, could be right. It is what it is, but everybody's got a preference when it comes to striker, but take it easy, you guys. Let me know how you're doing in the comments and whatnot. And I will see you guys maybe tomorrow with Jarvis. Maybe I don't have to do one tomorrow. Maybe I'll just jump on Jarvis' stream. But let me know. Thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you, everybody, for getting involved. Make sure you like and subscribe on the way out the door. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night, and I will see you guys on the next one.